From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Monday's edition of For the People. It's July the 10th. 2017. I had to look up for a second. I didn't want to give you the wrong date because then you would think that you were listening to the wrong program, and we like to be the program that you find common sense, and it would not be too sensible if we actually had another date. Blasio, the mayor of New York City, the snowflake mayor of New York City, is taking a lot of heat, and a lot of the newspapers and as well as a lot of New Yorkers are not liking him too much, other than the snowflakes, other than them. So here's the New York Post. You can't see it, but the headline, douchebag. Mayor feeds his ego in Germany after fleeing a city in mourning. Does that not say it all? Wait a second. That doesn't stop there. The New York Post. The day after an NYPD cop was executed, Mayor de Blasio jets off to Germany to rally lefties against the G20 and don't come back. What a great message. See, de Blasio wasn't going to the G20 summit to hang out with Donald Trump or any of the world leaders. No, he wanted to be a part of the demonstrations. He wanted to speak. He wanted to echo this sentiment. It's this sentiment that's getting the cops killed. It's getting the cops killed over here, and the riots and the fires. And he was surrounded with all of this stuff, which would seem that he actually supports all this stuff. But the New Yorkers have skewered Mayor de Blasio. And it's something that we should do time and time again when people do wrong and do things like this that are damaging. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or you're no party affiliation. It's just morals. It's decency. An officer was gunned down, assassinated in her police vehicle. And all you could think about is flying over to Germany, not even the United States, and enjoy the protesters over there and let them to start their fires and exacerbate all the negativity. Get out is right. Thank you. What a great headline. What an idiot mayor. I got to tell you, I mean, this guy is a snowflake to begin with, but I tell you, today's cover pretty much just set it into motion. And I hope to God that many on the left will condemn this because this is just wrong. And your political future, your political aspirations, I hope are shot down. It's heartless what this guy has done. When New York City is grieving, not even just New York City, officers in general, one cop is killed. You've mourned your family, but especially in New York City. Especially in New York City. How do you like that, douchebag? That was the headline of a play on the common American insult, douchebag. Yep, but there it is on New York newspaper. But man, it's fitting. It's a goofy picture of him, a big corny smile there. But you know, he got his limelight. He got his attention. He got looking for. He doesn't like New York cops. He doesn't like the NYPD. He doesn't feel their pain. He couldn't act like a Bill Clinton. I feel your pain, and be there because these people are mourning. And a lot of New Yorkers are just simply on edge because of all of this. And do you think it's right that he's criticized over the weekend and even today? I mean, this was not a peaceful G20 summit. These activists were out there, these anti-capitalist protests. They eventually ended up in riots. And the mayor left the city at a time when it was mourning the loss, again, of the New York City Department patrol officer who had been assassinated, the poor lady in the Bronx, just one day prior. And he's smiling at the airport, smiling in Germany. Shame on you. New York State Assemblywoman Nicole Macabras, a Republican who was likely challenging de Blasio for his job later this year, blasted him for leaving the city. She says, unbelievable. Instead of jets setting around the world, he should be here doing his job, she said. A police officer was murdered. Street homelessness has skyrocketed, and people continue to get delayed on the trains. The mayor should be embarrassed by the way that he has treated the men and women of our police department, she added. And she's right. She's perfectly right. New Yorkers are really tired of it. Yeah, there's the smell of urine all over the city. It's getting really bad in New York. Really bad. And it's a shame because there was so much headway that was made, especially during Rudolph Giuliani and his reign. Really cleaned up the city magnificently. We need somebody that same kilt to be able to get back in there. But this guy is just good for nothing. Let's see. The worst of everything, Mayor de Blasio, Gutfield said on Fox News here, without telling anybody in the city, he flew to Germany to protest. He claims the cost was footed by Hamburg. What a horrible little man's child this is to sneak out of the city. He leaves his city responsibilities, goes to protest. He's such a dirtbag. Greg Gutfeld. He's a Fox News commentator and has a show on Fox News. Really like what he had to say this morning about it. And the Post also urged de Blasio not to come back in Friday's cover story. This is all good headlines. But again, I think this really is echoing so many others besides de Blasio that has this mindset in our country. Oh, yeah, I should write. Jonathan Gilman, he says, now you know what I'm saying is true about communism. This criminal, de Blasio, shouldn't be allowed back. What do you think about that? Shouldn't be allowed back. Keep him over there. If he wants to be over there so bad, let him move over there. I mean, is this something that a mayor should be doing? Is this something that mayors do, to go over there and join a protest in another country? Why don't you renounce your citizenship? Just renounce it right now. You don't love America. Apparently you don't. You can't embrace the police department over there. I mean, I don't know if this guy's looking for a bigger role somewhere, someplace else, because he can find out it's just not fitting for him. People are really just not liking him. He's just not a leader. Can't get things done. Nobody likes him. And apparently, really after this, believe me, you're out of there. But this is the kind of diplomacy that a lot on the left, the loony left snowflakes, this is perfectly acceptable. This is perfectly okay. You notice there's not a lot of the snowflake liberals that are denouncing this. Not a lot of them are saying anything about it. See, these are the important things. You think they would, but is that just me, or is it common sense? See, it's the same nonsense that's going on in Dallas, Texas. Okay, you remember a bunch of the officers that were ambushed? They are in Dallas. Well, they're trying to memorialize, trying to have a week of resolution to make July 7th, the date last year when the 5 Dallas police officers were ambushed. And it's supposed to be a day to honor all officers killed in the line of duty. And basically, Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley, Price refused to vote for a resolution. Doesn't want to do it. The Dallas County Commission voted last week on a resolution to make July 7th the date. But, you know how many people? They said, no, we don't want this. He abstained. Price said from his seat Wednesday. It's interesting in this country how you again continue to try to frame a narrative with regards to other people who have lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement. Any loss of life is bad. Price noted that the idea that unjust police violence is what prompted the ambush shootings. KVTT said it called Wiley's office to get an interview with him on his statement that you just heard, but one of his staffers just simply hung up the phone. Yep. Once again, we have elected officials who is showing complete disregard and disrespect to the men and women of Dallas. Sergeant is it, folks? What's wrong out there? What is going on out there? I mean, it is craziness. If I've ever seen it before. I mean, it's just nuts. And these people are elected officials. I mean, you can't. This is not a proud day for Dallas. It's not a proud day for New York. It's not a proud day for America. It really, really isn't. But we have to hold these people accountable for this nonsense. And I'm glad the newspaper is putting this out in full force, but you got to condemn it. And the New York Times, the New York Post, I mean, thank you. The Daily News, what did the police officers do? They turned their back on him. Because they don't like the guy. They don't respect him because he doesn't respect them. And you know what's amazing? They have a security detail of their own. And many of the security detail are officers, former officers. But it's amazing. He's got his detail. Maybe we should just leave the detail and see what happens to de Blasio. I'm just saying. He doesn't like police? Well, hey, put your revolvers down. Hopefully you got some ninja tactics, but no guns. And how about no police officers with no formal training at all? They think they got your back? You imagine New York City without police officers? Imagine your city without police officers. I am glad that there are police officers in my city. I'm not happy that there's some bad apples here and there, but there's bad apples, and that's just life. It's unfortunate. But if there's excessive force, if there's racism, if there's anything like that, then the person should be obviously fired immediately. It should never, ever be tolerated. But I've made this case time and again. There's more evidence to show that there's positive police officers that do their job, law-abiding, and they just love their communities, love their cities, and they serve and protect. And that's what they do. And they're just trying to do their jobs, trying to keep us safe, and then we have to deal with idiots like John Wiley of Dallas. Thank you.